Hello there, and welcome to the Kirk Minahan wrap-up show for January 22nd, 2020. Today's show was Eating Jared's Ass, and I am joined by the man himself. I'm joined by the Rocket, Jared Carabas. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm a big fan of the show. I watch periodically. Now, I can't say I watch every show, but I do watch some shows.
Awesome. No, I mean, whatever. That's awesome. You actually reached out to me. Or you didn't reach out on the show where you're like, I'd love to come on. So that's kind of how we got the ball rolling. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm also joined by the Friday regular, Blind Owl.
Yeah, I couldn't get big time by Jared Carabas.
Making his second appearance this week, one Tony Cass. How's it going, guys?
Good, man. Good.
Yeah, you know.
So I just wanted to get into it. I thought today's episode was the best episode, of 2021. I thought it was great. It was long. They hit on so many different things. There are so many different things that you could have named this episode after. You could have named it after the Friendlies thing. You could have named it after the Grandpa Bob thing. You could have named it after Mike and Portnoy. Just a whole bunch of different stuff. So I thought today's episode was incredible. I don't know about you guys. I see the reaction online has been mostly positive. It was a lot of fun. I don't know. Did you have a fun time recording it, Jared?
Yeah, I always have fun over there. I mean, that was one of the ones where I think the week before we also did like 3 hours. This one actually might have been a little bit shorter than the week before.
It was like 2 hours, 48 minutes.
2:46, I think.
Yeah. Like usually when I go there, I'm strapped in for 3 hours. Like that's what I'm mentally preparing myself for. No, this one was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Blind Owl, Tony, you guys. I know. Tony isn't the biggest fan. I know you said
Jared
Let's get to that quickly.
Jared is usually there for 3 hours. I don't know about strapped in. That's a strong categorization. Today he was very
Go
good.
on.
Go on, Tony.
Yeah, land the plane. What do you mean?
Oh, well, I didn't know if we're talking about that right now. Justin, it's your show. I didn't want to say that.
Yeah, no, let's hop right into it. I know Tony has said before. I mean, Jared said today that he thinks around like 95% of the Minute fans are,
93.
Mostly give him a positive towards the show. Tony is not one of those people, so I decided it'd be good to see if Jared can make Tony a fan here. Tony.
So the problem is, it's hard to personally dislike Jared Carabas. There's nothing to dislike. He is a nice guy.
He's already walking it back.
Let the backpedaling begin.
Not none said, however,
beep.
This guy is pretty damn boring. For just being honest, I think Kirk does a very good job pulling the interesting parts out of Jared. I think uncomfortable Jared is interesting Jared. I think Kirk is really good at making you uncomfortable. Those baseball shows you do, man. Whew,
if you're not a fan.
My God.
It's not a baseball
so
show.
You just don't like baseball. I mean, you can't say that they're boring when they're both number one in their respective category. You can so your stance is that I don't like baseball, which is fine. Like
my stance is that you're boring. I feel I've articulated that. Like you're making it about baseball. This isn't a baseball problem.
Then
I'm a Carano puppet. Okay.
Yeah, you can't.
Jared, the most energy you ever showed on that show was when you defended yourself against Carano when he said you were bringing the energy.
This is the same exact thing that I said to Carano was that it's a laid back format. Like when I go on that show, I'm not arguing.
Is particularly laid back.
Yes. When I'm on with Kirk is very rarely super animated either. We're both pretty calm because
he's not shouting the whole show, but he's usually engaged with what's going on. I'm
usually engaged with what's going on too. But I guess if you're expecting a more animated Jared on that show, you're just not going to get it because Kirk and I are more in unison with the topics that we're like. We don't clash. We don't disagree on things. We don't argue with each other.
Jared, you have to put forward an opinion to clash. Every
what do
time
you want an opinion
something controversial, you say you don't know anything about it.
Tony, so if I can just jump in here for a second and kind of, so I'm a big Rocket fan, but I want to say,
what do you like about him? What are
his
positive
consider
attributes?
someone boring and not willing to talk about it when asked today on the show, "Hey, Jared, have you ever had your asshole ate?" And instead of saying no, it's never happened.
Do you want to hear the criticism? Because there is criticism. And I will say that was a great segment. It was really good.
Tony Cass chiming in.
See, that's what it is. It's like, big timer Carabas. I've got a show. I'm not boring. I'm smarter than you. I got a show.
Big timer. I'm entertaining you by being here. If I was a big timer, I'd be like, I don't have time for that on a Friday night. Here I am. Okay, so every time you can't walk back every single time that I have a valid counterpoint to something.
I'm not walking back. I said I think you're boring. I still think
but you
you're
also
boring.
said that I was big timing you, and here I am, 5 o'clock.
That last comment, Jared, was the Barstool employee who's got the big job on the internet. That's you. All right, I get it. Yes, you're more famous than I am.
Baseball stuff was boring, and then I was like, yeah, well, it's number one in every category. Like, so it's not like you just don't like baseball. That's
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first thing. You said section 10 or starting 9, or which one of those is top?
Section 10 is the number one Red Sox, and starting 9 is the number one national baseball.
I'm sure they are. They're boring. What do you want me to tell you?
Although, Jared,
you just don't like baseball, Tony.
I like baseball. I watch baseball plenty. What are you talking about? I've less since the Red Sox went insane, but
right. So you just follow Kirk, who doesn't like the Red Sox. So now you don't like anything.
Yeah, you're right. I don't have a brain. I can't think for myself. It's because the Red Sox have so many good people that work for them that I don't know why I might not like that organization.
Okay.
I know you tend to look the other way at that stuff, but listen, people's behavior matters to me. What do you want me to tell you?
At least he admitted he didn't have a brain.
No, Jared, you've gone after when they've done some stupid things
every
before.
time. It's the laziest thing to be like, you're a Red Sox homer. Yes, when they're good, for sure, I'm on that end of the spectrum. But when they're bad, I'm not like, oh, come on, guys, everything's great. Like, no.
What's your take on Stephen Murphy?
I don't even know who that is.
Hey, see, it's exactly what I'm saying. Justin, I couldn't have written that better.
I mean,
isn't that the clubhouse, dude? It's like, I cover baseball. Kirk's show covers that stuff. That's why they talk about it. So
what organization did Murphy work for? I can't even
he worked for the Red Sox.
Oh, yes, it was the Red Sox. Okay.
I
baseball. That's not a baseball story. Like, that's just not what we talk about on that show. It's just not.
I would agree with that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
but Kirk asked you about it on the Kirk Minahan show, where we do talk about that stuff.
I don't think he ever has.
I believe if we pull the audio, he has, and I believe the answer you just gave me is the exact one you gave him.
Yeah, like we don't talk about it on that show.
No, you don't know anything about it.
So let me ask you a question.
It was a more like serious, like we're going to talk about topics like that. We're entertainment. Like we're not talking about shit like that. We're not talking about like investigative.
On the baseball shows, I agree with you, but you were on the baseball show. You were on KMS. Kirk Minahan
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay. Hey, listen, Twitter, if I'm wrong, feel free to tell me that I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure you were asked, and I'm pretty sure you said you didn't know anything about it.
Sure. So I don't know. I thought we'd get that out of the way. Doesn't
Can I finish my criticism of the getting the ass eaten out segment? Because I actually thought that was a really good segment.
Are you good at it?
Me? Oh, just listen. I'll get you some numbers. You can call. I got references blind out. Anyway.
Send them in Braille, please.
At the end, I will do that. At the end of that segment, though, you could tell, Jared, there's things you didn't want to say because you started forgetting stuff.
No, it's not things that I didn't want to say. I think when he started like poking around about like timeline and who it was, like I'm not going to say who it was.
Yeah. No one expects the name. No one expects the name.
Right.
Do you think she was listening? Is that why you were holding back? Because that was actually what I thought. She must be listening.
I know that it was going to be a Twitter clip, and I think they actually posted it the second that we came on the show. And if you search my Twitter handle, then you're going to see. Like, you may not follow the Kirk Minahan show on Twitter, but if you search my handle, it's going to come up. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair point. We'll hit on the ass eating stuff first. So I will say it seemed like once you got Kirk and Steve's opinion on it, you did seem to kind of walk it back a little bit, and it became
what do you mean?
Like I do think that. So at first you came out and you said it's always something I wanted to do before I die. So it happened.
We did a segment on CCK where like Casey and Kevin were like, you know, you don't knock it unless you've tried it, and I was like, I don't know if it's for me. So it's like one of those things where it's like I feel like everyone just kind of does it at least once.
Okay.
Can I ask how we can walk back something that happened?
Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't get that.
It just seemed like you just became less and less like, it was just something that like I didn't ask for it or anything like that. I'm a big fan of the ass eating. So
okay.
Whoa, we gotta get into this.
Performing or receiving?
I mean, we'll do both. But it's just like, I mean, it's just something where it's just kind of like, you know, the younger generation does it. The older generation thinks it's, you know, taboo and they're not big fans of it. Mm-hmm. But so I just kind of, you know, took that personally. I was like, oh, maybe, you know, Jared's not
That's 2 times they've crapped on your porn preferences too. The Exploited College Girls was the other one they were shaming you for.
It's too bad. Yeah. Kirk and I have very different views when it comes to porn and our sexual interests. But so I don't know. I just thought I just could see you were kind of like, yeah, you know, you were just kind of like agreeing with Steve and Kirk when they were like, you can never marry this girl. And you were like, oh yeah, I can never marry it. Is that something that like you find true?
For different reasons. I mean, it's not because she ate my ass. I mean, I just like
Justin, I think you're confusing 2 different things.
You're thinking of who the girl is. Like, I don't think that like we'd ever get married.
That was about the porn star thing, not about the girl who.
Yeah. We were talking about like the whatever it was.
Well, I mean,
girls
most
and porn
stars, you'll agree, have 8. You know, they're
for sure.
fans.
I can't speak to that, but
no, I think Steve did say at one point like she's not wifey material if she's done that.
I think he said you can't kiss her or something like that. It's some phrase like that. You're right.
Very.
But again, that was the conversation about the porn star, not about the ass eating.
I'm pretty sure that was about the ass eating.
I believe that was about the ass eating. I believe so.
Kiss her was definitely after the butt eating, but then
I think he asked me if I did. And I was like, I honestly don't remember. Like we were both very drunk.
Yeah. Well,
so
that's when that stuff happens.
That was. And I also wanted to ask you about this. At a point at the show today, both you and Kirk said that something that I haven't even considered. You eat cereal without milk?
Well, when I was a kid, yeah. I mean, I don't eat cereal at all. I haven't had cereal in probably like 15 years, but when I did as a kid, I would not have it with milk. And if I tried it again now,
I am with you, Jared, 100%.
Yeah.
Just in a bowl? Like, how'd you eat it?
Yeah.
I ate it in a cup.
Yeah.
I have
Cinnamon Toast Crunch out of a bowl, dry. I mean, like
Cinnamon Toast Crunch? You get the shit all over your fingers too?
No.
Yeah, it's the same thing as eating like a Cinnabon. Like you're just gonna fucking eat. You're not gonna like dump milk on a Cinnabon.
Probably use a knife and fork, but
you would use it on a Cinnabon.
Hold on. Who the fuck eats a Cinnabon with a knife and a fork?
Do you eat pizza with a knife and fork too?
No, they don't.
At Cinnabon?
Yeah, like at an airport or something.
No,
it's sitting on the frigging counter. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Tony, this is insanity.
Okay, whatever. You're eating dry cereal, and I'm insane. Okay,
dry cereal. I mean, it's the same thing as eating like a cracker out of a
box.
It's
basically a snack. It sounds like you want a snack, not breakfast. It's just weird.
Food is food in the morning. I think it's. I'm not saying that. Like, I understand that I'm in the minority for eating cereal dry. I understand that, but like, I don't think it's crazy to do that. It's very justifiable. Actually,
I do it. It's the way to go. I think it's easier to eat.
I eat dry cereal plenty, just not as a breakfast. If I'm sitting down to breakfast, I'll pour it in a bowl. I mean,
Jared, there is a great cereal company out there, and I'll message you about them after this, and we'll hook you up with some really good cereal.
Is it Magic Spoon? They're pretty good.
It is Magic Spoon. They are.
He won't put any milk on because he's a good American.
Sure. We'll go with that. So, the show kind of started off today talking about how you guys haven't been contacted by Jeff Lowe about future trivia performance, which I think everyone can agree, even Tony can agree that was wildly fantastic. I'm sure Tony's going to go on a rant now about how it wasn't Jared's fault, blah, blah, blah. But it was wild.
I was going to defend Jared here, actually, if you want to know the truth.
Sure, go for it.
Because there was a lot of drummed up, all of that bullshit about who's trying to kick who off the team. Turned out to be just trying to rabble rouse. There wasn't anyone actually trying to kick anybody off.
Correct.
I'll give the Rocket credit. He got one right. That Titanic question was good. You did it.
I said I was going to do that. I said I was going to be Bernie Carbo. I said I was just going to hit one homer and it was going to change the dynamic of the whole entire thing. And that's exactly what happened. So
Tony doesn't know who Bernie Carbo is.
There's your trademark baseball analogy. He was on the Red Sox from 72 to 74. I Googled that this morning when y'all started talking about Bernie Carbo. I'm like, I should probably know who that is. He's making that
How old
reference.
are you, Tony?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
How old are you?
37.
You're 37?
I was going to say 22. Oh,
yeah,
22 it is. You got it, brother. 22.
Oh, well, I'm also blind.
Sure
So there's that.
It's a good point.
So I just wanted to.
So I guess I'm in the not eat ass generation. Is what you're saying.
You're on the fence.
So I wanted to say, as you said, kind of, how Kirk tried to get a little rabble rouse, get everything going. I was going to say, I think it's not on you guys necessarily to reach out and say they want it. I think it's on us as Minifans. We have to start the hashtag book Kirk and just at Jeff D.Lowe, let him know, he said that it was one of the most talked about episodes before it even aired.
Yeah, release the numbers. Like let me see if it was the most viewed episode of the dozen of all time, because if it's not, it's got to be like top 3.
It's got to be very high.
I think some of the Barstool people on New York are hiding from Kirk. I think that's what's happening because he's I mean, they're all good. I've watched a few of them, but
I think they're scared.
You can't just go against Kirk and just rattling off these answers and then have the oddity of Jared Carabas and Steve just knowing these random things. Like you could bring up some baseball thing that Jared would know that Kirk wouldn't know, and then some random shit Steve would know.
Well, Jared is friendly with everybody at the Barstool office, so you could probably go put in a word. I mean,
I could definitely do that. But I would like if Jeff D.Lowe acknowledged that we were an electric team that brought in an audience that had never watched the program before and be able to book us immediately after. Like we won. It's like if we lost, I can understand like, yeah, we'll get back to you guys. We'll circle back around eventually, but we won. So shouldn't we just keep going?
I completely agree with
What's
that.
the hashtag, Justin? What are we tweeting?
Hashtag book Kirk. Tweet it at Jeff D.Lowe. Get it going. Just show them that like the Minifans are such an incredibly passionate group, and that we want to see Jared, Kirk, and Steve back on the dozen because it was wildly entertaining. Like Jared said, release the numbers. Like at least to Jared and Kirk, let them know like how many views.
I bet you it's public record like what the numbers were for us.
Yeah, somebody can just go look at the views right now. Like I'm not going to do it, but somebody can just go screenshot all the views.
Mm-hmm. So I think it'd be great. You guys got to get back on. So #book Kirk, get that going. I think that will be a little fun thing we can do over the weekend.
So Jared, do you feel any pressure? Like if you fuck up and you're the reason the next round loses, like will there be any talking to you, or are you just going to be despondent? Like how's that going to go? Because that's got to be pressure now. If we're going to harass Jeff Lowe to get you guys on, and then you're the reason you're off. Oh.
I mean, it depends. Like if it's a baseball question and I get it wrong, then yeah, that's on me. But if I'm like, hey, Kirk, I think I know this one and I'm not 100% sure about it, but no one else has a fucking clue. I'm just kind of like, I think it might be this and I get it wrong. Whatever. I mean, it's better than no answer at all, letting the clock expire. So
do you know any blind major leaguers?
Do I know any blind major leaguers?
I'm the 4th best hitter in the world in beat baseball. Does that count for anything?
No, sir.
Wow. Oh, well, there might be some that are like colorblind. Who the fuck is calling me right now? But yeah, no, I don't.
You're out of the contest. No, I think Jake Peavy is legally blind.
Oh yeah, he was on the Red Sox. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta call him. Get him on my squad.
That is very interesting. So I don't know if you guys. I think #book Kirk would be a fun thing for the Minifans to get kind of rally around over the weekend. But the next thing I wanted to talk about, and I know Jared did disagree with Kirk on this one, is I want to talk a little bit about friendlies. About how they kind of fumbled the ball.
We agreed and disagreed.
Yeah, there's a little bit of both there.
You know, I think the CEO kind of probably lives in his own world where he probably doesn't get said no to many times if he was to go on a radio show and do something like that. I don't believe he's a huge. I bet you he's not a huge fan of the Kirk Minahan show. I bet it was brought up to someone, which is just
no huge fan would come to Kirk with a prepared bit.
That's just dumb.
Nobody would do that if they were a regular listener. That's just not. No.
I mean, I don't know. Like, so would people like, was the idea for them to ask you guys questions about friendlies? So it'd be like, for me, this flavor released in 1993. It lasted until 1997. It was like birthday cake. So I don't know how far that would go. I think the best way to do it is to have like a live show at a friendlies and charge, either have a raffle or charge tickets, and then everyone just eats at the friendlies. Friendlies.
Justin,
has more business.
Can you imagine Kevin from Bristol calling in with that CEO on the line, asking every question about the cream?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Over the guy's head, he has no clue what the hell he's talking about. I'll admit that would be cool.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about that. That would be quite interesting. But
so where do you get this cream?
Yeah, so I know, Jared, you said you still want to help out friendlies. I'm a big friendlies fan myself. Kirk seems out on it. So is this something? I know Kirk said you can pick a side, and you can either go with Team Friendlies or Team Kirk. So is this the falling off point between you and Kirk, or
no? I think Kirk basically turned a point a little bit later where he was at least open to friendlies making it right versus just blowing the whole thing up on that specific show. I said I had a little bit of optimism in terms of whether or not they're going to be able to mend these fences. But if I were to bet, like, is the friendlies relationship going to be fixed in the near future? I'd probably say no. But the fact that it's not a 0% chance, like, that's good. In Kirk's world, that's pretty good.
No, I
think the last time we had one of these, it was the Red Claws, where there was some kind of sponsorship. If you don't count Gary Butts, there was the Red Claws. And I think where friendlies might save itself is they didn't do the nose up at Kirk. We don't really want to associate with Kirk Minahan. Whereas the Red Claws were like, oh yeah, the Celtics aren't comfortable with it. I think that is the difference. And I believe eventually, like Jared said, I think there will be a forgiveness to friendlies at some point. At this point, it's all moot. There's not going to be a live show at a friendlies till this COVID thing is gone anyway. But
I kind of see it if the way they did it almost could. I mean, they didn't do it on purpose, but it could work to their advantage because if Kirk demands, like he did, a public apology, and they do that, and then he, retweets it or whatever, makes it part of the show. That kind of is advertising, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Kirk has done more free promotion for Friendlies at this point.
Yeah, Friendlies.
I don't think I've seen paid ads for Friendlies as frequently as I've heard him talk about how good Friendlies is. So they owe him whatever he's asking for.
I would just find it funny if it what ended up killing the Jared Kirk relationship wasn't the Red Sox. It was
Fribble.
Fribble.
It was
Fribbles and the barbecue chicken.
I wanted to ask you too, real quick. When you said you get the mint chocolate chip ice cream with, do you get the sundae, the Monster Mash sundae?
No. I know that it's very similar, but I just do 3 scoops mint chocolate chip, M&M's, whipped cream, book it. No cherry, fuck a cherry.
I like
no hot fudge?
No, I can't do hot fudge. I had hot fudge. I had hot fudge when I was 6 and I puked. And I think I was just sick anyway. I don't think I puked from the hot fudge, but I have never had hot fudge since then.
That's why that girl doesn't eat an ass anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves that hot fudge.
So I think another funny point where I like it how there's such a different dynamic between Jared and when Mike is on the show, because you'd never see Mike do what Jared did today when he's just like, I don't want to talk about the whole grandfather situation. I liked it how you kind of stood your ground, and it was different. You haven't really heard someone push back on Kirk in that seat since like MHB tried to do it in the first week. So it was very good. I disagree with Kirk's take. No, I mean, love Kirk on everything, but his take on grandparents dying, that's rough, dude. When my grandmother died, it was tough. When my grandfather dies, you'll never see me again.
I believe this was one up to the ship. Go ahead.
I think it's a generational thing. Kirk's a lot older than, apparently not a lot older than Tony Cass, but is a lot older than us, and we think of our grandparents dying as much more, different generational thing, because our parents are all, I assume, still around, and we would see that as much more devastating as we get older, as opposed to our grandparents.
I think it was just a joke.
Been dead for a while.
Like he was trying to one up Steve Robinson, essentially, because Steve's always doing that one up thing. Oh yeah, I had this. Oh yeah, I had that, and it's always just a little bit bigger. So I think it was meant as a joke, like, oh, your grandfather died. Yeah, well, my parents died, so I'm one upping you. I don't think he thought it was going to go into, oh wow, this is something Jared actually doesn't want to talk about. It didn't seem like that's where it was headed when it started.
Yeah, I don't think he was he wasn't trying to be a dick. I think he was genuinely just curious, like, oh, we find, because I mean, I'm not too plugged in with some of the stuff that like Blind Mike was talking about when he was there. Like, I think he was uncomfortable talking about like family members and stuff like that and like his personal life, but there's yet to be something that Kirk has brought up where I'm like, oh, hey, well, that's the line. Like we joke around about like my parents and we joke around about whatever else. And like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm just sitting there. Like, I'll go in with the joke. People will call into the show pretending to be my mom. I'm not like, hey, fuck you, man. Like, stop doing that. Like, I don't care. But that was the one where I was like, all right, like, nah, probably not. And because I know that like, like my family will like listen to the show too. And I'm like, like I'm bothered by it. Like, I don't like it, but like, I know that people are listening are going to like it even less than I like it. So I'm just like, maybe not do that.
Yeah, no, I completely, but I will say, Tony, I don't think Kirk was just trying to one up. He has said that he has had that take before where he doesn't think grandparents dying is something you should really, kind of.
You don't think he's joking at all?
I mean, there was a joke there, but it's.
I mean, I think Kirk.
He said that, but I always read it as him just busting people's balls. Like, oh, your grandparents died, my parents died, so
it's just
complaining. That's just how I read it.
He's so much older that it's just different, I think.
How old are you, Blind Owl, that you're so much older?
28.
Okay, he's not that much older than you. The guy's not like 70. Ellie Schmidt wasn't right. He's not 71.
But that 15 years when your parents, like my parents, are about to be 60, that 15 years makes a bit of a difference.
Yeah, I would say Blind Owl is in a different generation and grew up differently
than Kirk. A bit of a difference. My grandfather is like 87. Like
yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was just a very interesting point. The calls today were okay. There were some that were great. And there were some that were just duds. There was a couple calls, which I can't even remember. They were talking about, one guy asked Jared about Mookie Betts, which is great. But like, I'm sure if you just DM Jared with the Mookie Betts question, you could get.
I'm sure Jared has all the DMs of all the.
No, it was Betts with Xander Bogaerts.
I heard the Red Sox were interested in re-signing Betts.
That was a good one, Tony.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's long gone. So Next week we'll have Jared Carabas and Hubs on to just go back and forth about. But
what's that guy that Kirk keeps shitting on? That's on your show with you. I don't know. Steve Perrault. Hey, go bring him on.
Mm-hmm. They don't like each other at all.
I'm a little bit more exciting than Steve Perrault.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I found it interesting how the last phone call. It's like Kirk always wants to go out on a high note, and I think he went off on the highest of high notes today, because some of the phone calls were just stupid. Some guy was going off about like what video games should Harry and my kid play together or something like that. And it's like, how the fuck?
I was waiting for the punchline on that call, and I was like,
let's talk about your kid. That was a little creepy, in my opinion.
I mean, the Kevin from Bristol call was great, where he was Jared's mechanic. Tim from Canton's always a blast, and
that was Kevin from Bristol.
Willie Banger?
Willie Banger? Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's funny. He tweets me all the time. He's very funny. I met him at the BFW last show. Yeah.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah, I should say, well, it's not confirmed that he's. I mean, Willie Banger Out's Willie Banger Out, but they've never been seen in the same room together.
Got it.
So
I've never seen him.
We'll keep it at that. But I do like how it's not phone calls every day. It's once or twice a week. And I think having them with either Mike or Jared kind of brings it out. Because, you have people calling in as either Jared's dad, Mike's dad. You have all these characters that have just been made in the universe. And kind of like spacing them out gives people time to think, time to kind of prepare. I like how Kirk says, hey, there's 30 minutes until we're taking phone calls so people can get ready. It's not like a spur of the moment thing. I think the phone calls have been great so far this year. I don't know about you guys. Blondell.
I mean, they've been more hit or miss this year. I think it's more good ones than bad ones, but some of the legendary ones, like Blind Mike's dad hasn't called, and Donald Trump has been low on the.
Yeah, he's got bigger problems right now.
So, Tony,
can I say the thing with the calls? I feel like about half of the people are doing prepared bits, and about half of them are just seeing it on Twitter and calling. And we've all been guilty of calling and not really having that second or third layer that Kirk talks about. I think that, Justin, you're right. They're definitely better at the start of 21 than they were at the end of 20. But I didn't get the impression like Kirk was loving the calls today. I think maybe half of them he loved.
Yeah, no,
I'll say the one about Harry. I was just like, wow, I hope this is going somewhere this time. I thought it was going to be like a Royal Rumble joke or something. And it was, no, he's serious. Just what game should our kids play together?
Yeah,
that's stalker
Royal Rumble talk. That's what I'm ready for.
Someone was also asking about like 3 different movies that had nothing. I don't know. It was just there was something that were just
someone asked for like a book recommendation, and I was like, all right,
that's an old deal. People with the golf recommendations and book recommendations, or
like my girlfriend just dumped me. What's a good Bruce Springsteen album to listen to?
Yeah, it's
all
like,
of them.
I don't know, but I think it's funny. The abortions are always grand.
Now, you know what? I think Steve is a little It's hilarious when a good abortion happens. When he does it on every call, I think it wears it. It's just
Tony,
I have a suggestion for the abortions. I think that the sound clip shouldn't be as long.
Thank you.
It's quite a
too
long.
Yeah, and it was too long of a clip.
The audio quality of it.
Like you can probably cut that to like a second and a half, and we get the point, and it's still emphasized that your call sucked and you're gone. But like once it starts playing, like I'll look at Kirk and be like, we got another like 4 or 5 seconds of this before we can start talking again.
You see, it used to be just the knife sound, or the knife, and then the vacuum.
That and out of the toilet, and now it's like 5 seconds long.
And the baby crying, because it came up as a bit like 10th term abortions and things.
And just aborting callers who are done doesn't make sense. You abort the calls that suck. You had plenty to work with. You had plenty of abortions today. I think Steve's a little abortion happy.
I know, Tony, you're a big pro-life guy, so I'm sure.
Huge pro-life guy, big. Can't stand all these abortions. Huge.
I'm pro-abortion.
I'm sure that's barking up the wrong tree.
Can I ask a question? Where did you get the impression that I am pro-abortion? Just out of curiosity.
Because you're a big liberal, I know. So I was just assumed.
Okay, I'm really not that big a liberal, but okay.
Oh well, I know you're like known as like the token.
I'm more friggin' liberal than Steve Robinson.
Oh, okay.
What kind of measuring stick is that?
Yeah, that's a good point. So the last thing I wanted to ask about and just talk about from today's show is Jared. So you are not a fan of the parody songs.
No, I it's not that I didn't want it to come off the wrong way where like I don't respect the effort. Yeah, like I respect the effort that goes into it. They don't make me laugh. And like I'm not saying don't do them, don't put them on. Like obviously there are people who like them, but I don't think I've ever laughed at one in my life.
Is it because you're not as invested as most of us are that listen? Is that
I don't even think it's that. I mean, like I'm pretty invested at this point. Like now,
I'm about to say you're as all in as most people at Barstool.
Yeah,
but there's some little things in there that make us laugh. That
for sure. Like I get like the inside jokes and everything, but I don't know. It reminds me of like old school WEI, like where they would do shit like that on there. I don't know. It's just like I get the inside joke. Like I will listen to the show at least like enough of the show so that I can keep up with it on the episodes that I'm not on. So I get the inside jokes. I don't know. I just don't.
And some of them are the newer ones have been I'll say not even.
I think callers that are playing characters that are spin-offs of segments that have been on the show are funnier, like callbacks, than songs that have callbacks to those things.
I agree.
Yeah, I feel that. I will say Steve's a liar guy is very talented. I'm a huge fan of parody songs, but today was not it. It was just a tough one.
It wasn't a good one. It wasn't as bad. It was better than most that probably come in. I mean, we have to ask Steve about that, but it was.
It was. I do find it funny how quickly Steve's opinion of the song changed from the start and then the end when he saw saw Jared and Kirk's reaction to the song. He goes, I think this one's going to be a fan favorite, and then he plays it and he goes, yeah. Not some of his best work.
And then he blamed me. He was like, I think the song would have been good, but you kind of sucked the energy out of the room. And I was like, I think the song just sucked. I think that's what it was.
It's not easy to put out an album of #1 hits. I mean, not everybody can do it. Steve's a Liar Guy's got a bunch of #1s. That's not one of them.
No,
but I do think it was funny that he kind of just pawned it off on you. He was like, well, maybe if Jared didn't, bring the negative energy, it's like, okay. Well.
I think Steve has a little bit of the if the song's about me, it's going to be funny because he has all the people that hate him, and then
I just kind of felt that. So, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to hit on from today's show going forward.
Tony, do you have anything?
Yeah, Tony, any other bashing for Carabas?
I don't know. I think Carabas and I are in a good place right now. I feel like we've both said what we think. He's determined that I don't like baseball. I still find him boring. I think he's a good addition to the show. I will admit, I did like Blind Mike. I am an original gearhead. I'm one of the gearheads. So, admittedly, anybody who took your seat was going to have an uphill battle. I told you, I think when Kirk makes you uncomfortable, you're great on the show. It's just you go very far out of your way to not be uncomfortable, and sometimes that can be a little dry, dude.
I don't even know that it's an effort to do that. I just naturally don't fucking care. That's why I like the people that will tweet at me and say that I'm boring or that I suck on the show. It's just I just keep it moving because I'm like, there are a lot of people that do, and I know like no one in any profession is going to have 100% approval rating. So if you think I'm boring, that's fine. I don't care. Because I know that a lot of people don't necessarily agree with that. So, I mean, there's never going to be a 100%. This dude is not boring. This dude is a perfect fit for the show. It's just never going to happen. So,
I think Kirk, Kirk used to say it on K&C all the time. If 50% of the people hate you and 50% of the people love you, you're doing something right.
Sure.
So I think, there you go.
I'm glad we cleared that up. Tony has admitted that he is a fan of the Rocket now. So
and he has no brain. He admitted he had no brain.
You might be able to bump that up.
I said something about no brain. I said nothing about being a fan of the Rocket. If I didn't have a brain,
that might think you are though.
I don't know. You seem like you're a big fan, Jared. You can bump that up to 94% now.
Yeah, there you go.
A lot of fake news. A lot of fake news.
Oh, the last thing I wanted to bring up is Jared. I know it was mentioned on the show, but if you ever need someone to film anything around in Boston, feel free to hit me up.
That Jared, you did not correctly identify what exercise you were doing. You were not shoulder pressing.
It's a shoulder press machine.
So describe to me the machine. Go ahead.
It is a shoulder press.
Do you sit down?
Yes.
Yes. And do you how far over your head do you go? Do you go up like that or is it forward?
No, that's shoulder press. Straight up.
Straight up?
Straight
you did
up.
Not do 270 pounds.
Oh, I did 320 pounds.
You did not.
I mean, I did. Where do you live?
Salisbury. Why?
Are you gonna fight him? This is
no. I was gonna say you can come. I'll get you a guest pass. You can come with me. You can watch.
No,
you did not.
Next time you go, I'd love to come and I'll videotape it.
Oh, yeah, I go. I'll be there on Thursday. It's Thursday shoulder day. It's I might probably do more than 320. 320 I got for 10 reps, so I'll probably go.
This?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
That is just not believable.
I know. I am unbelievably strong. Thank you.
And the Smith machine that I'm seeing there actually takes away about 50 pounds. So
yeah, Smith machine.
Wait a minute.
Different, yeah.
So you're saying you pushed up 320 on that machine
for 10 reps?
It goes up to 320.
No. It's you put plates.
You put plates on. It's a Smith machine. It's a Smith machine.
Okay, so this isn't one of like the hotel gym workout machine. This is like an actual.
No, it's a legit machine, but
it's a machine.
Because 320, I mean, those usually at a friggin' Holiday Inn, that'll go up to like 190 pounds. So I'm just not sure how you get 320 on it.
You actually have to put the plates on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the last thing there was a big segment. There was so much on today's show. It was honestly one of my favorite shows of all time. The Nustin phone call, that was quite interesting just to hear him, I think he was kind of big dicking around. He's kind of being like, can I use Steve as a promo code? And like, dude, like you fucked up. Like I kept saying it because I like Justin. I think he's a good guy and he means well, but it was kind of cringy to hear that. And I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the merch, but it's always.
We were talking about this before we came on.
I haven't seen
buying that shit.
It is interesting.
Jared, have you seen the duck titties one?
I have. I saw the whole page.
Jared's got the whole closet filled.
I'm saying right now, if you don't like Nustin, the solution is go buy stuff with that promo code. I'm telling you, if he's making $1, shipping is more than $1. You're taking money out of his pocket buying merch.
Mm-hmm.
So really, Kirk should be telling people go buy that merch because he's losing money on the deal.
It is kind of funny to see his awkwardness, and then when Kirk calls him out, and he's just like, oh, and he loses kind of that edge of his awkwardness, if that makes any sense.
22 years old with 3 kids and a business where you lose money guaranteed is not the way to go.
So
and works 32.5 hours at a deli.
Yeah,
I think he's a stepfather of 2 kids, and then he has his first kid on the way. If I'm
got it.
That makes a little bit more sense.
I'm very interested how he got his wife fired because they just sort of brushed by that the other day. He's like, I got my wife fired. I'm like,
fired from OnlyFans.
From OnlyFans. How do you get fired from OnlyFans?
Was he like, so today we're going to do a Q photo shoot where, we're going to talk about, and you dress up and you storm the Capitol as a sexy, a sexy patriot or something like that. But I'm really not sure what can get you kicked off.
I don't know. I've seen some messed up stuff on OnlyFans. I don't think that being a QAnon person would get you
just
kicked
leaked videos. Like it makes eating ass look tame.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck are you doing to get kicked off OnlyFans?
Yeah. So I thought that was funny to mention, but I like him. I hope he sticks around in the world. He's just a funny guy. Whenever he talks, he's entertaining. So I know. I just wanted to hit on that. Anything else you guys? I know I said this 5 minutes ago, but anything else you guys want to bring up? No. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you, Blind Owl. Thank you, Tony.
No problem.
And of course, thank you, Rocket. It was a pleasure to have you. You're welcome back whenever you'd like.
Only if Tony's here.
Only if Tony's here?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime, Jared. Anytime.
Any way, I'll do it.
Sounds perfect.
That hurts my feelings.
Thank you guys for listening, and I will talk to you on Monday's show, the wrap up. Oh, #BookKirk. Get #BookKirk.
#BookKirk.